Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah al-ali al-azim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina wa nabiyyina Abil Qasim al-Mustafa Muhammad. وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف وجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره. I am very grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving me this opportunity to meet you in the Holy City of Qum. Normally I am not in Qum because I am based in the UK, but because of my son's illness in the last several months, I have been in Qum. So Alhamdulillah, it coincided with your ziyarah, so I am happy that I met my dear brother, you. We first met in Istanbul, in the airport, but this is the proper time for meeting. Alhamdulillah, I'm very thankful to Allah. There are different things that I would like to talk to you about them because I think they are very relevant to our time. For example, about the whole concept of ziyarah, especially ziyarah of Lady Ma'sooma Salamullah alayha. I refer you to the books that I have about this, about Lady Ma'sooma, Second Fatima, and about ziyarah. So they are online available. You can read on Shomali.net, and there are lectures. But please, before you complete your ziyarah of Qum and Mashhad, try to browse at least the book, and you would see that Allah has gifted you with great opportunity. Ziyarah is not something, ordinary. Ziyarah is an extraordinary gift to enter into the light of those that you visit. I was also thinking of talking about connection between Imam Hussein and Imam Mahdi, Ajalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, which is very important topic, but there is no time. Inshallah, I give a copy of this small book to Sheikh, but it is also available online. You can read online. There are lectures also. So this is very important topic, how we should prepare for coming of Imam Mahdi through proper introduction of Imam Hussein to the world. Imam Hussein alayhi salam plays a great role in preparing for coming of Imam Mahdi, and it's by us introducing him through our actions and then words to the world that we prepare for coming of Imam Mahdi. So this is also something that inshallah you will read or listen to the lectures. But the topic that is very vital and crucial for us, and I want to share with you, is social wilayah. This is the topic that if I have opportunity to talk once, I try to talk about it. For example, when we met in Istanbul, I was coming back from South Africa. We had some programs with the Christians. We had the 11th round of Catholic Shia dialogue there. But I had opportunity only to visit one Shia community in Johannesburg, and I used that opportunity to talk about social wilayah. So if I have one opportunity, I talk about this. Basically, the idea is that wilayah, which is very important aspect of Islam, has social aspect which is normally neglected. Some Muslims neglect wilayah as a whole, unfortunately. Shia, alhamdulillah, have the concept of wilayah, but even most of the Shia neglect the core of wilayah, which is the mutual relation between believers. So I try briefly to explain what is social wilayah, but alhamdulillah there are lectures on this. There is a paper on this in English. You can inshallah familiarize yourself more. In particular, I have one lecture, if you want to listen only to one lecture, which is 90 minutes given in Stockholm, and social Wilayah. This encapsulates most of the things in this topic. Can anyone explain for us what is Wilayah? If someone asks you, how do you define Wilayah? What do we mean by Wilayah? Yes.
It's the leadership system as well.
Yes, but leadership is part of Wilayah, yeah? So, Wilayah involves leadership, but it's not only leadership. Because, for example, we are also awliya for Ahlul Bayt. They are our awliya, we are their awliya. Or, for example, we have awliyaullah. Here, it doesn't mean leadership. Yes?
Guidance through divine command?
Guidance is also involved, but we cannot say, if I am, for example, a wali of Ahlul Bayt, means I'm guiding them. It can be guiding, it can be receiving guidance, and it can be also horizontal. For example, al-mu'minuna wal-mu'minat ba'dhuhum awliya'u ba'd. So this doesn't mean anyone is guided, anyone is guided. They can be equal. Okay? Yes.
Is it guardian?
Yeah, wali is translated as guardian, but again, guardian does not explain everything. For example, we cannot say awliyaullah are guardians of Allah. Yes? We need to find a definition that works from top to bottom, from bottom to top, and also horizontally. Whatever definition you bring should be matching all these vertical and horizontal relations. Yes?
Servants?
Service? Servants? Yes, but when we say Allahu waliyul ladina amanu, we cannot say Allah is servant of believers. Yeah? Yes. So, to my knowledge and to my reflections, I don't think we find any term, whether it's English or Farsi or Arabic, that alone can do justice. Wilayah, in the sense that we understand, cannot be translated into one single word. Especially with this complexity that it has. It can be top to the bottom, bottom to top, and also horizontal. Allahu waliyul ladina amanu, but also inna awliya Allah la khawfun. So Allah is wali, but Allah has also awliya. Okay, so from top to bottom, but Imam al-Zaman or Ahlul Bayt or Rasulullah are our awliya. But we are also their awliya and mawali. They are our mawla, we are also their mawla. But in which sense? Also, all of the mu'minin, al-mu'minuna wal-mu'minat, ba'duhum awliya'u ba'd. Yeah? Every mu'min is wali for another mu'min and vice versa. So, my understanding is that wilayah has three elements. And when these three elements come together, then you have the concept of wilayah. Among these three elements, two of them are available in wilayah of the opposite camp, because we have also wilayah of Taghut and Shaitan. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَوْلِيَاؤُهُمُ الطَّاغُوتُ. Yes, they have also the wilayah among themselves. Two of these three are available in wilayah of the opposite camp. One is missing. So, if you are ready, we start with these three. You are ready? Please say salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. The first element of wilayah is ma'rifah. What is ma'rifah? I'm sure you know ma'rifah is different from ilm. Yeah, ilm is very general. What is ma'rifah? Yeah, ma'rifah is acquaintance. Yeah, is a kind of intimate, personal knowledge. For example, before coming to Qum, you had heard about Qum. Yeah, you had some knowledge about Qum. But after living in Qum for some time, then you develop ma'rifah of the city of Qum. There's a difference between knowing as ilm, which is very general. Even if you hear about something, you can say, I have some knowledge. You read about something, you say, I have some knowledge. But you cannot say, I have ma'rifah of this city, of this person, unless you live there, you have interaction, you have personal familiarity, you have acquaintance. So, one important aspect of Wilayah is ma'rifah, acquaintance. Ma'rifah of whom? Ma'rifah of whom? Of all the relevant parties in that camp. First, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should have ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is something for all your life. Don't be satisfied with any level of knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you have. Even if you have studied aqa'id in madrasa, I don't know, if you have Islamic school, in community, in Hose, this is not enough. You should always try to increase your ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, we always ask Allah to give us ma'rifah of Himself. Ilahi arifni nafsak. Even if you are as a believer, saying this, it means that our ma'rifah can grow. Ma'rifah of Allah, ma'rifah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is very much needed. Again, we should not be satisfied with any level of ma'rifah of Rasulullah. We need to always know more about him. Ma'rifah of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam is very much needed. And in particular, ma'rifah of Imam of our time. Because he is the current commander in this camp. He's the current leader of the people who are in this camp of Wilayah. Okay? And it is only his ma'rifah. Please listen very carefully. It's only his ma'rifah that can save us from dying like ignorant people. Sunni Shia all have reported this hadith. Man mata wa lam ya'rif imam zamaneh mata mitatan jahiliyyah. Okay? So it means that even if you know Allah, if you know Rasulullah, if you know Imam of previous time, but you don't know Imam of your time, still mata mitatan jahiliyyah. Is it clear? If anything is not clear, please raise your hand and ask question, because we may not have time to come back. So, I am not exaggerating in saying that the only one whose ma'rifah can save us from dying as people who were in the age of ignorance is Imam of our time. If you know him, it means you know Allah, you know Rasulullah, you know Amirul Mu'mineen, you know Imam Hussein, but you have also live connection with the Hujjah of Allah in this time. This is, of course, a challenge for us Shia. Inshallah, in another time, maybe you can talk about this, or inshallah, you can yourself reflect on this. That actually how much we are benefiting today from Imam Zaman. We say we have ma'rifah of Imam Zaman, but how much we are actually under his leadership, and how much we are, feeling that we are receiving instructions from him and we are answering to him. This is a question that everyone should test and try himself or herself. Because in this time, we all need to be aware of what Imam wants from us. Don't say we cannot, receive an instruction from Imam in the form of lecture or writing message, etc. your ma'rifah of Allah, of Rasulullah, Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, and whatever literature we have of Imam Mahdi, plus your life of faith, benefiting from scholars, from leaders that we have, all of them should be putting you in a position that you know what Imam Mahdi wants from you now. Okay? It's not a matter of guessing and say, okay, I think I should do this, I should do that. No. There is a methodology. And if you follow that methodology, you know what Imam Mahdi wants from you as a believer in general or as a believer in this particular time and context. If you who live in Australia don't know what Imam Mahdi wants from you in Australia, means your ma'rifah is inadequate. Because there is no way that you are under leadership of someone or guardianship or guidance of someone and you don't know what to do. If you don't know what to do, then what's the difference between you and someone who doesn't believe in him? Okay? Therefore, in Dua Ahd, what we do say? We say to Allah, please include me among people who have certain qualities. I mentioned two of them. One, al-mumtathalina li-awamirih, those who implement his commands. Whatever commands we have received in the time of Ghaybat al-Suqra or Ghaybat al-Kubra, minor or major occultation through Tawqi'at, etc. But وَالسَّابِقِينَ إِلَىٰ إِرَادَتِهِ. What is the difference between irada of Imam and awamir, will of Imam and commands? Command is something that is formally communicated. But irada can be in the heart of Imam, in the mind of Imam. Maybe it's not expressed in the form of a command. Do you understand the difference? Maybe sometimes, for example, a teacher or a leader has things in heart that they expect from you, but they don't say it. Either because they want to test your understanding and responsibility, or there are people that they don't want to speak in front of them, but they say that we have given you already enough of instructions that you know what we want from you now. For example, if there is an inspector coming to the classroom, a teacher may not tell you in front of the inspector, what to do, what not to do. But you are supposed to know what the teacher expects from. Or maybe the teacher goes out for something. And then the students who are in the class, those who are good students, they behave in the way that no one understands the teacher is missing. Those who are not behaving well, they make chaos in the room and so much noise, and they start fighting, etc. Then everyone in the school knows that this teacher is not in his classroom. So Imam Mahdi Ajalallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif has instructions for us in the form of commands, but he has also expectations from us that are not communicated in a formal way, and we should discover them through the methodology that we have. Okay? So when it comes to commands, we say al-mumtathalina li-awamir. We want to implement his commands. This is something that not every Shia in the course of history was successful to do. Sometimes some Shia were listening to Imams, sometimes some of them were not listening. Sometimes we find in the time of Amirul Mu'mineen or Imam Hassan alayhim as-salam that there were Shia who were not listening. They bring in excuses, not to listen. We in this time, although we don't see Imam in a way that we can identify him, we want to implement his commands, but we want something more. We want to precede others in doing his irada. Do you understand? There are two levels. Implement command, but the higher level is to precede each other, to be the first in acting upon his will, which is not spoken. Okay? So you should have this level of ma'rifah. This is just ma'rifah. Unfortunately, time is very limited. So, ma'rifah of Allah, ma'rifah Rasulullah, Ahlul Bayt, and particularly Imam of our time. And ma'rifah of Imam of time needs a study, needs methodology, but also needs familiarity. The more you think of Imam, the more you remember him, the more you do good things on behalf of Imam, the more you serve his community and humanity, the more you develop ma'rifah of Imam. If someone is on top of a mount, unless you climb the mount, you cannot understand him. If you want to understand, for example, head of a community, you cannot understand this in vacuum or in separation from the community. If you want to understand head of a university, you have to climb different levels of study and then administration in that university so that you can have some understanding of head of a university. If you want to understand Imam of your time, in addition to reading about him, you need to get closer to what is in his heart and mind. And that is only by growth. That is by only developing more love and concern for people who are under his leadership and people who are under his imamah, even if they don't listen to him. We have two groups of people. People who follow Imam, but people as a whole are also under leadership of Imam. He's Imam for nas, for mankind. Yeah? So I need to know the Shia of Imam, but I also need to know all humanity, because this is his jurisdiction. Anyway, another thing that you need to know is who are this time in particular helping him or who are causing problems for him. In Du'a Ahd, early morning, when you want to remember Imam, you learn a lesson in Du'a Ahd. There are many lessons, but one is you can remember Imam only along with remembering his people. When you want to send salutations to Imam, how do you do it? You don't say, "Oh Allah, please reach my salutation to Imam, make my salutation reach Imam," or salutation of myself and my parents. No, you say, "An jami'il mu'mineen wal mu'minat." Even you don't stop here. Say, "Fi mashariq al-ard wa maghariba." Because if I say all mu'mineen and mu'minat, maybe I think it means in my city, or in my country, or in my continent. But say no, جميع المؤمنين والمؤمنات في مشارق الأرض ومغاربها برها وبحرها سهلها وجبلها حيهم وميت. So you don't exclude anyone who has relation with Imam. And then you say وعني وعن والدي. So these are all related. In Ziyarat Ashura, for example, أسأل الله الذي أكرمني بمعرفتكم ومعرفة أوليائكم. Who are أوليائكم? The Shia. معرفتكم means معرفة of Imams, Ahlul Bayt. But معرفة أوليائكم is also very important. So if you live in any part of the world, one of your responsibilities towards Imam Mahdi is to know all other mu'mineen and mu'minat who are in this relation in any part of the world. Opportunities like ziyarah, hajj, umrah are very much to be appreciated from this perspective as well. That not only you do ziyarah of Ahlul Bayt, you do ziyarah of mu'mineen and mu'minat from other parts of the world. This by itself is great, because you will add to your ma'rifah of the community worldwide. So, ma'rifah is one element of wilayah. The second element of wilayah is love, mahabba. So in addition to ma'rifah, there is mahabba. Actually, ma'rifah leads to mahabba. There is no way you have ma'rifah of Allah and then you don't love Him. If someone doesn't love Allah, it's because he doesn't know Allah. If someone doesn't love Rasulullah, it's because he doesn't know Rasulullah. Any person in this camp is either the source of the goodness, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or they are mirrors of goodness of Allah in the form of Ahlul Bayt and Mu'mineen. So only good can be seen in their persons and in their relations. We don't need to create love or generate love for them. We just need to know them. Love comes very naturally. Like, for example, you don't need to give lecture to people to love their mother or father. You just need to remind them of all the things they already have seen in them. That is enough. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Musa alayhi salam, حَبَّبْنِي إِلَىٰ خَلْقِي. And in some versions, وَحَبَّبْهُمْ إِلَيَّ. Endear me to my people and endear me to them to me. Make them lovable to me. The way for people to love Allah, according to this hadith, is ذَكِّرْهُمْ بِآلَائِ. Remind them of my blessings, my bounties. They will automatically love me. And the way for them to become dearer to Allah is through obedience. So, ma'rifah definitely leads to mahabba, to love. And then you guess, if you have ma'rifah and mahabba, acquaintance and love, what happens then? Ta'ah, obedience. Then you obey each other. I'm not saying even you obey the people on the top. This is a very important point. In this camp of Wilayah, although there is a structure, there is leadership, there are people who are hired, there are people that you have to answer to them, but in every level there is so much of love and so much of commitment that if someone lower says something good, even if your child says something good, if your student reminds you of your duty, the other party would obey. المؤمنون والمؤمنات بعضهم أولياء بعض يأمرون بالمعروف وينهون عن المنكر. How can we do أمر بالمعروف when we are at the same level? أمر بالمعروف is not for only people who are on the top. Even people at the same level or people from the bottom, we can do أمر بالمعروف of our leaders. No problem. Why? Because our relation is so intimate and so much filled and guided by love that no one minds. No one says, why you told me? Who told you to give me Amr Ma'ruf, to instruct me? How, you dare telling me something? No. Everyone thanks. If another person, even lower than him in knowledge, experience, age, whatever, he thanks if they offer something that either they forgot or missed, or even if they remembered, no problem. You may tell me to do something because it's very important, you don't want me to miss that. I would thank you anyway. I would not say, I only thank you if I didn't have in mind. Do you understand the point? For example, when I go out, maybe there is a slippery road here. You tell me, Maulana, be careful, there is a slippery road. I don't say, I know myself, why you told me this? Who are you to tell me this? My eyes are open. No, I thank you. So, If you tell me, Maulana, in Qom, for example, you should do this and that, in my humble opinion, I say, I would thank you. Yes, if you want to, humiliate me, insult me, that's another issue. But from every aspect there is love. You say it kindly, and I receive it kindly. Therefore, Amr bil Ma'ruf, which needs authority, is possible among people of the same level or from bottom to the top, top to the bottom. Why? Because Wilayah gives authority to every member to remind others of the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So authority of Allah is extended to every member at every level of the camp. It's beautiful. Even for Allah Himself. There is a beautiful hadith about months of Rajab. And one of the things we have is that Allah says, I am obedient to the people who obey me. Muti'un liman ata'ani. So even Allah obeys. If someone is always listening to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and then he asks Allah for something, Allah will listen. Will listen, will obey. Some people are mustajabu da'wah. So means they ask Allah and Allah gives. Of course, they don't do it for personal things. Or for example, we say, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْضِبُ لِغَضَبِ فَاطِمَةَ وَيَرْضَى لِرِضَاهَا. What does it mean? It means that Allah is putting His rida after the rida, the pleasure of Lady Fatima. Why? Because Lady Fatima always put Allah's rida and pleasure before her pleasure. Okay? So even Allah obeys because there is love. So in Wilayah we have three elements. Ma'rifah of all the parties involved, Mahabba and Ta'ah. Mahabba leads to Ta'ah, not fear. Okay? Sometimes I obey out of fear. Sometimes I do something because I don't want to get into trouble. Sometimes I do something with love. There's a big difference. Like Salat. If I do Salat out of fear of not being, I don't want to be punished. I have fear of being punished. I say my Salat so that I am not punished. This Salat is not very powerful. But if I say my Salat out of love, this is very powerful. This is Mi'raj. And therefore, sometimes Nawafil are more effective than Wajibat. Because Nawafil you do them out of love. Wajibat you may do them out of fear. Okay? In the camp of Wilayah, you should do things out of love. Whatever you do for example, Allah, for Ahlul Bayt, for other mu'mineen, do it out of love. Don't let it reach the point that then you are, afraid that, if I don't do this, I will get into trouble. No, do it for yourself. Do it with love. In the opposite camp, please tell me what elements are there out of these three. Ma'rifah is there. Maybe not deep, but they know each other. They know their leadership, they know how to communicate. Maybe they are actually very organized in reporting, in answering, communicating, having archive, all the things. They know exactly to whom they should answer. There is also obedience. Sometimes actually more rigid, because there is fear. So people who were with Muawiyah, they were very obedient to Muawiyah. Okay? It was not something that was optional for them to obey Muawiyah or not. People of Batil are obedient, but they don't have love. There is no love there. You may think they love each other because you see them, shaking hands, laughing, celebrating together. I don't know, but they don't love each other. تحسبهم جميعا وقلوبهم شتى. You think they are united, but their hearts are scattered. Do you know why? Why true love is not in the opposite camp? Because true love can come only from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Love is light, and light only comes from Allah. What people call as love most of the time is not love. Because true love is something that makes you selfless, at least towards the beloved. Most of the love that people talk about it, you are not selfless, you are more selfish to the extent that you want to possess the beloved. People love each other like they love their car or computer or house. It's mine. It has to. Even if the other party is happier without me, I say no. I love you. You have to be with me. But that person doesn't want to be with you. If it's true love, you have to see what is best. Like parents. Some parents are happy with their children traveling to thousands of miles away, although it's very difficult for a parent. Yeah, but they say the growth of my child is to go, for example, for a study. Or they may marry and then go another place. They want the best for their children. They don't want the best for themselves in this child. Okay? So, many people when they talk about love is the same as love for the objects that they own. But love, if it is coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, makes you selfless. Okay? So, in the camp of Batil, no love exists, no friendship exists. And on the Day of Judgment, this becomes obvious. What is the ayah? Who can say the ayah about friends becoming enemies? Ahsanto. This ayah shows that friends, if their friendship is not based on good reasons, on love for Allah, this friendship on the Day of Judgment becomes enmity. But question, is friendship true friendship and on the Day of Judgment becomes enmity? Or even in dunya this was enmity but covered? What's the answer? Even in dunya this was enmity. Because it's not that in akhirah friendship becomes enmity. In akhirah everything becomes manifest. When two people are friends, but for example they waste time of each other, they give bad advice to each other, they give encouragement to each other to do bad things, for example, this friendship is enmity but undercover. Okay? But muttaqin, their friendship endures. Even when everyone is running away from others, this is not what muttaqin. You don't run away from other muttaqin on the Day of Judgment. So, in the camp of Batil, there is no love, but there is obedience, there is ma'rifah. So, now, I try to finish. If we want to be in the camp of haqq, the camp of light, the camp of truth, the camp of virtues, the camp of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this belonging is wilayah. The best thing I have understood is this. Wilayah is belonging to this camp. Either as head, which is Allah. Allah has wilayah, or as Rasulullah and other actually prophets and messengers, because we didn't start this camp in the time of Prophet or Islam. This camp is extended over history. And we have to understand our relation with other prophets and messengers and their nations, etc. We need to belong to this camp. And one thing which is very much unfortunately neglected is that to belong to this camp, you have to belong to the community of Ahlul Bayt, not just to the individuals of Ahlul Bayt. This is the problem. We think by loving Allah, by loving Rasulullah, by loving Imam Hussein, Imam Mahdi, it's enough. We can reach everywhere we want. No. Love for them should be translated into love for fellow brothers and sisters. Our wilayah should be connected with each other. In the hadith that Mu'alla ibn Khunais asked Imam Sadiq about rights of brothers over each other, Imam mentions the rights and then says, when you do this, wasalat or wasalta wilayatuka biwilayatihi or wilayataka biwilayatihi, depending on wasalat or wasalta. Your wilayah and the wilayah of others should be connected with each other. Therefore, I have a sign for understanding how much you are loved by Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Yeah? For example, you go to Imam Raza, inshallah. You go to Lady Ma'sooma, inshallah, for ziyarah. If you want to understand how much they love you, what is the sign? What is the indicator? Maybe they say, look at your heart, how much you love them. Yeah, this is good answer. Normally, typically it's given. How much you love them. If you love them a lot, then it shows they love you also a lot. Of course, I have a comment here. I say, look at your heart, how much you love them. Know that their love is greater than this. You can never love them equally. Okay? So, whatever you love them, know that they love even more. But I think this is not good sign, actually. It's not enough. The better sign, the more accurate sign is this. Look at your heart carefully and see how much you love other mu'mineen who are doing ziyarah. If you just love that personality that you are doing ziyarah, and in your heart you don't have any love for these people, this is a problem. You cannot love head of a family or community and don't love their children or their members. So, if I go to the shrine and I see my heart is full of love for people who are there, or people in all over the world are connected with them, this is the sign of you being loved. But if I don't bother about these people. Actually, I wish they were not here. Sometimes, these people are, making too much noise. I wish haram was empty and I was just, doing the proper ziyarah, proper. So, this is wrong. How much you love others for their sake. Therefore, we say love for Allah is not enough. Al-hubbu fillah, not hubbullah only. Al-hubbu fillah, love for Allah, love for the sake of Ahlul Bayt, for their followers. Unfortunately, I was not able to expand. I just hopefully gave you appetizer. Inshallah, go and follow those lectures. And please try to implement. Increase your bonds with other mu'mineen and mu'minat, starting from your own community, but don't stop there. Other cities, other nations, all over the world. This is very important part of our responsibility today. May Allah, inshallah, help you with rest of your journey, inshallah, be going smoothly without any trouble, filled, inshallah, with light and with presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I should thank Sheikh Zaid Salami, Hafadahullah, and all the people who helped for this great cause, this great work. I know it's very difficult. I know it needs lots of work in advance, lots of work also afterwards, but it's a great service. May Allah inshallah accept from him and all the helpers or the mentors. And inshallah, let us remember each other by praying inshallah for each other. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.